This is chapter 62. Text number? 31. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Sodanandana Vajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Vajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraj Kachacha Ashtotarati Shishimad Abhay Charanarvindam Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Kori Vaishnavinda Ki Jai Iskan Bibiti Samstabhakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navadip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Shrimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Shrimati Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Rath Yatra Ki Jai Samveda Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the meeting of Usha and Aniruddha, Canto 10, Chapter 62, verse number 31. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Satam Pravistam Vritam Atayibir. Satam Pravistam Vritam Atatayabir. Bhatair Anikair Avalokya Madhava. Bhatair Anikair Avalokya Madhava. Udyam Yamorvam Parigham Vyavastito. Udyam Yamorvam Parigham Vyavastito. Yatang Tako Dandadaro Jighangsaya. Yatang Tako Dandadaro Jighangsaya. Satam Pravistam Vritam Atatayavir. Bhatair Anikair Avalokya Madhava. Udyam Yamorvam Hardigham Javastito. Yatang Tako Dandadaro Jighangsaya. Satang Pravistang Vritamatatatayivir. Bhatair Anikair Avalokya Madhava. Udyam yamorvam pardigham vyavastito. Yatang takto dhandadaro jihangsaya. Satam pravistam vritamatataya vir. Lady, satam pravistam vritamatataya vir. Bhatair anikair avalokyamadava. Udyam yamorvam pardigham vyavastito. Saha he Aniruddha. Tam him Banasud. Pravistam entered. Vritam surrounded. Atataibi who were carrying weapons. Batai by guards. Anikai numerous. Avalokya seen. Madavaha Aniruddha. Udyamya rising. Morvam made of muru iron. Parigham his club. Vyavastitaha standing firm. Yatha like. Antakaha death personified. Danda the rod of punishment. Dadaha bearing. Jighangsaya ready to strike. Translation. Seeing Bhanasur enter with many armed guards, Aniruddha raised his iron club and stood resolute, ready to strike anyone who attacked him. He resembled death personified, holding his rod of punishment. Purport. The club was not made of ordinary iron, but of a special kind called muru. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyanam Jana Shalakaya Chakshurunudhitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So, not made of ordinary iron. We can understand that at this point in time there was some special metal that was used for clubs. That kind of metal, whatever it was, seems to be lost today. And so, and just to give you a practical example of how things get lost in time that people had knowledge of previously, just because it's not available now, we shouldn't think that it's just a story. There's no reality to it. But things in time, they become lost. And I'll give you an example. The devotees have a farm near Belgaum, 250 acres. And they were growing different kinds of seeds. They had mustard seed and different seeds they were growing. They wanted to get the oil, extract the oil. But they wanted to do it in a traditional way with a bull, and they have a stone gurney and that, like that. So they went out to look for a stone gurney and they couldn't find one. Nobody had one. And the reason why was when electricity became available in villages, they switched over from stone gurneys to electric, mills that grind the seeds to make oil. Still, they thought there should be some of these around somewhere because there were many before. And what happened is that they learned that some of the first persons that were selling the stone gurney, which is a large stone um, piece that fits in the ground, and it has like a wood center, and the bull pulls it around and it crushes the seeds and you get the oil. So what they found is that the first persons that sold these stone gurneys, some catastrophe happened in their house. And that's news spread throughout villages. So the persons that owned gurneys, they thought this would happen to them too, so they refused to sell them. And what they did was bury them in the ground. Okay. So after a great struggle, they found someone who had one of these, and they acquired one stone gurney. But then they couldn't find anybody who knew how to work one because it was a very village technology that was old, right? And after a great search and a big struggle, they found an old man in a far off village who was 95 years old, and he knew how to work one, right? And so they got this person and got it hooked up and started to make oil by using the bull and the stone gurney. So the reason I'm telling this story is to show how things in time become lost. Muru, special metal that they use for clubs. Today nobody knows, right? Nobody has any idea. So it's not that this is mythology or it's somebody's imagination. Not like that. At this 5,000 years ago, there was a special metal for making clubs, not ordinary iron, right? Called mulu. But in time it was lost. Just like the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gave it to the great saintly kings, the sun god, right? Vivishvans. But in time it was lost. And so he wanted to revive that. So in the same way, devotees are making some efforts to revive things like village technology, right? It's not based on electricity, right? It's based on, they say horsepower, but we say bull power, right? Bull power. Srila Prabhupada describes that mm, the modern civilization is based on oil, right? They generate energy from oil. And very soon, we can see the oil prices must be very skyrocketing. You know, you look at the petrol prices, they're very high, right? When a commodity becomes scarce due to supply and demand, the price goes up, right? So we can understand the scarcity of these things. And one day, Prabhupada said, it'll be finished. And people will want to know how things were done before there were, this dependence on oil to generate electricity, etc., etc. So Srila Prabhupada actually advised the devotees to become self-sufficient, live off the land, and that way they'll become happy. So I'll read text number 32. There's no purport, then I'll read 33. There is a purport. Jigrikshaya tan paritha parashpataha shuno yata sukara yutatpo hanat te hanyamana bhavanad vinirgata nirpina murduro doru bhujaha pradur dhruvahu. Translation. As the guards converged on him from all sides, trying to capture him, Aniruddha struck them just as the leader of a pack of boars strikes back at dogs. Hit by his blows, the guards fled the palace, running for their lives with scattered heads, thighs, and arms. Shattered heads, thighs, and arms. Tannaga Pashayar Balinandano Bali Gnantam Swasainyam Kupito Bhabandaha Ushabrisham Shoka Vishada Vilvala Badam Nisham Yashru Kalaksha Auratsit. Translation. But even as Aniruddha was striking down the army of Bana, that powerful son of Bali angrily caught him with the mystic Naga Pasha ropes. When Usha heard of Aniruddha's capture, she was overwhelmed with grief and depression, her eyes filled with tears, and she wept. Purport. The Acharyas explain that Manasura could not actually capture the powerful grandson of Lord Krishna. However, the Lord's Leela Shakti, or pastime potency, allowed this to happen so that the events described in the next chapter could take place. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 10th canto, 62nd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Meeting of Usha and Aniruddha. So the Lord He does things in according to His liking or pleasure. And that may include being captured or having his son captured by the likes of Banasur. The Lord comes into this world and displays His pastimes specifically so that the conditioned souls will become attracted and they'll hear and chant about it, right? And when the conditioned souls hear and chant about the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, they can become liberated. Right? Simple thing. Everyone's attracted by the stories, dramas, right? People are still performing Shakespeare's dramas, right? Every year in St. Louis, in a place called Forest Park. They have a very big park. One of the biggest parks in the whole country is in St. Louis. It's called Forest Park. 1,300 acres of park. Central Park in New York is only 840 acres. It's one of the biggest parks. But anyway, in a certain part of the park, they have an outdoor theater, and once a year they perform Shakespeare's plays. Right? People like it. People come. But the Lord also, He does drama, right? Where would, the story wouldn't be the same if Aniruddha hadn't been captured. Of course, Aniruddha has to be captured, right? And where would be the emotion, right? If Usha didn't weep, right? Because her beloved was captured. That's drama. It's exciting. Hmm? So here, the Lord is performing his pastimes. And for some who don't have faith in the Lord, they'll say, oh, you see, he's an ordinary person. He got captured. Right? But no, not like that. Even though he's captured by Banasur's uh, special Shakti that he had, he was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. So he had special weapons and abilities. But still, these have no effect on the Lord or the Lord's children, Aniruddha. However, just to enthuse the devotees, to draw out the emotion, just like a drama, right? To draw out the emotion and the feeling, right? For the benefit of the devotees. When the devotees hear of this, they are they have various emotional feelings, and the Lord does this on purpose. Even Kunti Devi, she compares Lord Krishna when he was leaving to go back to Hastinapur. She offered beautiful prayers, and in one of the prayers, she explains that Krishna is just like an artist on the stage. Right? Even sometimes the artist becomes so absorbed in the character that the artist is playing that the own relatives of the art can't recognize the artist. Right? Sometimes an actor is so good and they become so absorbed in the character that they're playing, they forget who they really are. And all the audience forgets who they really are. Right? So Krishna is like that. Right? Right? They forget. He's such a dramatist. Right? And there's so many examples of that, especially in this 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Krishna, just for the pleasure of his devotees, takes up a part and plays it. So, hearing this, reading this 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam and all the various pastimes of the Lord that are here is called the Sunam Bonam. It's the highest part of Srimad Bhagavatam. But to actually understand it and to be able to relish the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, a purification of the heart has to take place. And therefore, we have the previous 9 cantos, which are to be read systematically one after another. As one gradually reads the various cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam in a systematic way, one after another, it's meant for a purification of the heart. The heart becomes purified so that, specifically, one can understand the pastimes of the Lord in the 10th canto. Why? Why? Because Krishna clearly says, if you understand my birth and my activities and how they are transcendental, then you won't take birth again in this material world. So it's a very practical thing, right? The whole Srimad Bhagavatam is there to give us an opportunity to become relieved from this troublesome material world where there's birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo viditatvataha taktva punajanma nati mamati soarjuna. So this is a great benediction. The fact that Srila Vyasadeva has made the effort to give us this Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is, of all the Puranas, it's considered the highest, the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. It's known as the Amala Puran, pure. There's various Puranas, 18 Purans, and some of them deal with the various modes of material nature. But this Srimad Bhagavatam, this Bhagavat Puran, is Amalam. It's the pure message of the Supreme Lord and the pastimes of the Lord and the pastimes of the Lord devotees. And it's the way by which one can perceive the Lord, especially in this Kali Yuga. But unfortunately, the conditioned souls in Kali Yuga are very less interested in spiritual life. Very unfortunate. Manda sumanda matayo mandabhagya yupadurtaha. They're very more interested in sense gratification and less interested in spiritual life. And people think that if they improve their economic position, then they'll enjoy. But that's not the situation. According to the 3 modes of material nature, we're given a certain body, right? The body, there's a body of a human being, there's a body of a pig, right? Now the pig is there, it's a spirit soul in a pig's body, right? There's a certain kind of enjoyment that's fixed for that body that the spirit soul has gotten as a pig, right? Prabhupada says that if you give a pig nice halava, he won't be as interested in that as he would as if you give him stool, right? They like to eat stool, right? And Prabhupada was giving class once, and he said that the stool of has a lot of nitrophosphates in it, so it has a lot of healthy things in it, right? And pigs they eat stool, and you see they're very fat, right? They're very healthy, right? So Prabhupada said, maybe you should eat stool, come healthy. He just laughed. All the devotees laughed. So the pig has a certain kind of body, human being has a certain kind of body, and their enjoyment in that body, tasyaiva heto paryateta kovido, it's fixed according to the body that they have. It's not that if you work very hard for economic development that you're going to enjoy more. It doesn't work like that. Yesterday we went to Naperville and they were doing a kirtan. One of the devotees, I forget the devotee's name, was right at that time in an operation for brain cancer. Very, um, you know, enthusiastic part of the community, and they were all concerned they were doing kirtan, right? One other devotee that I had met there who previously was in St. Louis and had shifted to Naperville. He was taking us around, showing us the new temple, nice temple they made there. So we asked her, "How's your wife?" We hadn't seen him in a long time. And he said, "Oh, my wife died of cancer." Right? So all of these problems, disease, death, they're there. They're all waiting around the corner for us. Right? But of course, the devotee sees all these difficulties in a different way than the non-devotees do. Right? Because they're absorbed in the pastimes of Krishna, in the holy name of Krishna, in the form of Krishna in the temple. So the devotee sees these difficulties in a different light. He sees them. If you see difficulties in terms of your sense gratification, it's always going to be a bad thing. How could this happen to me? But if you see difficulties that come to us in the light of our Krishna consciousness, then the devotee sees that the Lord gave me this difficulty to help me move forward in my Krishna consciousness. Right? You see the difference? It's all in a matter of how we perceive things and what our consciousness is, and that's when we'll get that realization. So our consciousness should be working towards being progressive in thinking of Krishna, serving Krishna, and then whatever difficulties come to us, we'll be able to understand them in the light of what Krishna is trying to teach us, what Krishna is trying to help us to become more advanced in Krishna consciousness. And we also learn from this that the Lord performs his pastimes for the pleasure of the devotees, and so we shouldn't mistake that the Lord performing his pastimes is some ordinary thing. The Lord is always extraordinary. His pastimes are also extraordinary. How could the Supreme Lord be captured? How could his son be captured? It's not possible. But he does it. It happens by his achintya shaktis, his pastime shaktis, just so that the devotees can relish them and enjoy them. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions? We got a few minutes left here. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, nice class. You said that devotees also undergo sufferings and other things, right? So the consciousness is different from the materialistic people when they undergo suffering and the devotees. Now we also hear that a devotee who is trying to become a pure devotee have to undergo a lot of turbulences or purification process. What one sadhaka should think of such situations if he is afraid of, to become a pure devotee, one will be put into different troubles,
Well, you're going to be put in trouble anyway. Whether you're trying to be a pure devotee or you're trying to be a real good karmi, you're going to get trouble. You can't avoid it. What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Abhramanal Bunaloka. From Lord Brahma down, all are places of misery where birth and death pursue. So trouble's going to come. But better to try to be a devotee, be progressive in Krishna consciousness, right? Because by that effort, you'll attract the attention of the Lord. The Lord is concerned with everyone. Their existence depends on Him for everything. But He's especially inclined to those who realize that and who appreciate that and who are trying to cooperate with the enjoyment of the Lord. So they have a special status. And they have Krishna gives them a special understanding, even in the times of trials and tribulations. Is that okay? Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Very nice
Hare
class,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. I just wanted to understand what is the significance of this special kind of iron, Muru iron, that's in the purport of this verse.
Well, like I said, it's kind of lost to antiquity. I mean, there must have been something special about it, and because it had a specific purpose to kill the enemy, right? And Aniruddha used that special iron, a special metal club. It's not ordinary iron, special metal club to defeat the soldiers of Anasur. So it must have been something that was useful. He shattered their heads and their arms and their legs, and they went running for their lives. So the significance is it was good for what it was made for, to fight the enemy.
Is it a metaphor for something bigger? I don't know. I was thinking, can we apply it to any other areas of our lives?
We shouldn't speculate on that. I mean, you can go back and read the commentaries by the various acharyas like Vishnu Swami or Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sanatan Goswami. They have their commentaries. And there's other acharyas. Vallabhacharya also has commentary. There's a Sanskrit book with 5 or 6 commentaries from the acharyas, and you can go back and and see if there's some extra information. But over and above that, I don't think we can speculate on that.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Any other questions, comments, reflections, reactions, corrections? Anything you wanted to ask? Anything you wanted to ask? Yes.
Was it like? Was it just like lying there?
Kshatriyas, they always kind of have their weapons with them. They have their weapons with them because anytime they can be challenged. And if a Kshatriya is challenged, it's his duty to meet the challenge, right? So now, if you were in of course you would never be, but you can just imagine, you're there with some girl, her father's somewhere in the house, and he's a big, nasty guy, and he's got a lot of nasty soldiers. If you were there, wouldn't you bring your club?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would imagine he had his club with you, but I can't say for sure, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Kids have good imaginations. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.